What's in the bill to reopen the federal government? Congress is moving swiftly to end the nation's longest federal government shutdown with a bipartisan funding deal. The Senate approved the package Monday night, and the House is expected to vote Wednesday. 8 Democrats broke ranks to support the bill after dropping their demand to immediately extend Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which will instead be voted on next month. The bill funds most federal agencies through January 30, with full-year funding for agriculture, veterans affairs, military construction, and the legislative branch. It also includes full funding for SNAP and child nutrition programs, including a $603 million boost for the WIC program, $203.5 million for congressional security, plus $852 million for Capitol Police and $28 million for Supreme Court security, $115 billion for veterans' medical care, including funds for toxic exposure treatment and homelessness prevention. Retroactive pay for 1.4 million federal workers affected by the shutdown and protections against further layoffs. A new rule requiring the Justice Department and FBI to notify the Senate when a lawmaker is under investigation or if their personal data is subpoenaed. If Congress fails to reach another deal by late January, parts of the government could face another shutdown. Trump floats $2,000 tariff rebate checks. What you need to know. Former President Donald Trump has proposed sending Americans rebate checks of at least $2,000 each, funded by the tariffs collected under his administration. He argues that these payments would act like a dividend for the American people. However, experts note that while importers pay the tariffs initially, the costs are often passed on to consumers, meaning Americans already bear part of the burden. The idea resembles the COVID-era stimulus checks, but Trump claims this version would come directly from tariff revenue, not taxpayer funds. President Donald Trump's proposal to send Americans $2,000 rebate checks from tariff revenue is facing skepticism from his own administration and financial experts. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said no formal plan exists and noted that Trump's comment could refer to various forms of relief, such as untaxed tips or overtime pay. Analysts estimate that sending $2,000 to every taxpayer would cost roughly $326 billion, far exceeding the $220 billion in tariff revenue collected so far. Even excluding wealthy Americans, the plan could still cost around $300 billion. Trump claims leftover funds would go toward reducing the national debt, but critics say the math doesn't add up. Legal and logistical hurdles further complicate the idea. The Supreme Court may strike down some of Trump's tariff powers, potentially forcing the government to return $100 billion to businesses. Moreover, Trump cannot distribute such payments unilaterally. Congressional approval would be required. Economists warn that the move could fuel inflation, risking higher interest rates and alienating fiscal conservatives. Even if approved, checks could take weeks or months to reach Americans, based on past stimulus rollouts. Trump just floated a 50-year mortgage. Is that a good idea? President Donald Trump has proposed introducing 50-year mortgage loans to make housing more affordable, an idea his administration calls a game changer. The longer loan term would lower monthly payments slightly, helping some buyers enter the market. But housing experts warn it could increase overall costs, as homeowners would pay far more interest over time and take decades to build equity. For example, on a $450,000 home at 6.25% interest, a 30-year loan would cost about $547,000 in interest, while a 50-year loan would total over $1 million, nearly double. Analysts also note the plan could push home prices higher by boosting demand without adding supply. It's unclear whether 50-year mortgages would have higher interest rates, and under current law, loans longer than 30 years are not allowed without new legislation. Supporters say it could help renters become homeowners and later refinance, while critics argue it adds more risk and delays real ownership. What is Trump's proposal to pay Americans directly for health care costs? President Donald Trump has proposed redirecting billions of dollars used for Affordable Care Act, ACA, tax credits directly into Americans' pockets, allowing them to buy their own, better health care. Currently, ACA subsidies go straight to insurers to lower enrollees' premiums. Over 90% of ACA participants receive these subsidies, which are set to expire at the end of 2025, a key issue behind the ongoing government shutdown. Republicans argue the current system benefits insurers, while Democrats want to extend the existing subsidies. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said no formal proposal exists yet and that discussions will only resume once the government reopens. Some GOP lawmakers, including Senator Rick Scott and Senator Lindsey Graham, praised Trump's idea, calling the ACA a scam. Democrats, however, have rejected the plan, warning it could be a covert attempt to dismantle Obamacare. Visa and Mastercard might have a deal to lower merchant fees. Your rewards card could get hit. Visa and Mastercard have proposed a deal with U.S. retailers to slightly reduce the interchange fees merchants pay when customers use credit cards. The agreement, still pending court approval, could lower business costs and possibly consumer prices, but it may also reduce popular credit card rewards, since those perks are funded by these fees. The settlement would cut interchange fees by 0.1% over 5 years and give merchants more flexibility, such as adding surcharges or rejecting high-fee premium cards. However, many retail groups, including the National Retail Federation, criticized the proposal as insufficient, calling it window dressing. They argue the small reduction does little to challenge Visa and Mastercard's market power. The deal follows a 20-year lawsuit accusing the two companies of fixing interchange fees. Despite the companies denying wrongdoing, the agreement faces strong opposition and may not pass. Critics urge Congress to intervene if the courts fail to act.